Our next speaker, Mr. Hardik Upadhyay, he is the founder of tradingwithdyr.com and has spent 16 years in the industry. He has done CMT Level 3 in 2016. He trades and teaches systematic momentum and mean reversion strategies that work in various market conditions. May I please request Mr. Upadhyay to kindly take over.
Hello everyone, so our next session is from Mr. Hardik Upadhyay. Hello Hardik, how are you?
I'm fine, how about you?
Good. Thank you for in eDECMA. We are very glad to have you with us and we are very excited. So Hardik, can you just tell me about how has been your journey and overall experience or your experience in trading, investment, your overall experience in the market?
Sure, Prashant. Thanks for inviting me to this conference. See, I have been into this field for about 16 years now. I used to work for a couple of large brokers. I have worked with them. And, as far as the experience is concerned, I have already seen 4 bear markets and the bull markets as well. And over the periods, I have realized that it's the trading and investment is not as complex as we make it to be, because I have been there and done that. I have tried all the types of trading as well as instruments, and I've also jumped from one instrument to other. You are into a beginner cycle where once the system goes into a drawdown, you try to change the parameters or change the system altogether. So it took me a long time to come to a conclusion that there is no perfect system available in the world. You just have to follow what you are comfortable at, and some basic strategies, simple strategies, they work all the time. I mean, most of the times, not all the times, but they will work if your strategies are fundamentally strong. So that's what has been my crux basically. But unless you try different things, you will not know what works. So the trial and error has been my learning experience basically. Yeah.
Very nice to know about that, Hardik. So you talked about a couple of very interesting things, like so you have done all those things which anyone would do. There's a beginner cycle, and I think we all go through that kind of phases, right? We do a lot of experiments, we go here and there, but an interesting thing that you told me, you will not realize the importance of something which, unless you have done all that, unless you go through that kind of phase and cycle, right? And what I feel is nowadays, I mean, because of this social media and all those things, at least we can listen to the people, we can know about their experiences. It was not that easy earlier. I mean, back to 10, 15 years ago, since you have also started, I think around 2005.
2004.
And simple strategies works, but I think definition of simple is bit different for you, for me, for anyone else, right?
Yes.
So you need to find out that kind of comfort or what is simple for us, isn't it?
See, for example, I'd like to elaborate there here. See, as far as I've seen, there are only 2 types of strategies. Broadly, if you can define. One is trending or momentum kind of strategies as far as stock markets are concerned. In fact, any publicly traded market. And the other is mean reversion. I mean the consolidations and buy low, sell high, and buy high, sell higher. So that is the broadest types of strategies available. If you have a trend following kind of a strategy, no matter what indicator, what type of entry parameters you choose, you will always be able to get on the trend whenever there is a trend. And similarly, trends have corrections and pullback. Be it any market. So these are the basic broad, philosophies that are there. So you just have to kind of find out what works for you. So
You're right. And each both strategies have their rules. I mean, for example, I would always say if you want to do a trend following, you have to ignore resistances. Yes, you will not be able to ride the trend.
True.
Isn't it? So, all right, but Hardik will like to learn from you today. So, you are going to talk about momentum and mean reversion?
Right.
Okay, so what we'll do is you can begin with your presentation. I'll mute myself. I'll note down my queries or questions, and once you are done with your presentation, then we'll discuss that. Right?
Sure. Okay.
All right. So over to you, Hardik.
Thank you. Well, hello friends. See, to the topic for today's presentation is the truth about RSI indicator. We all know what RSI is, but we'll know how exactly to use more effectively and profitably, basically. So before that, already Prashant Bhai has introduced me a little bit, but a little bit about me is I have been into industry for about 16 years, and I am a chartered market technician level 3 cleared in 2016. I have written an ebook where you will learn how to combine momentum and mean reversion strategies. I also manage client portfolios as well as teach people about my style of trading. Okay, here is my website if you want to know about. Okay, so let's start with it. So here is what we are going to discuss today. What is an RSI? What is RSI indicator? Is it a momentum indicator or a mean reversion indicator? Then we'll see the traditional RSI, 14 period RSI has any edge or not. And then we'll see how to correctly use the RSI. And there is this combined approach, which I fondly called hybrid approach, where you combine momentum and mean reversion both. And then we'll see some practical ways to improve the system that we discussed. So everybody knows what is RSI. I think RSI was developed by J. Wells Wilder in the 70s and published in his book New Concepts in Technical Trading Systems. Usually the default period as suggested by Wilder is 14 days. 14 period RSI is what he has suggested. So what RSI does is it compares the magnitude of stocks gains to magnitude with losses over the last 14 days. Okay, so that's the basic definition. And usually, as suggested by Wilder, that RSI levels over 70 are considered overbought and levels below 30 are considered oversold. But that is where the real problem starts, because this is the thing. See, RSI is called a momentum indicator, but used as a mean reversion indicator. So what happens is RSI is constructed as to show the momentum of the stock over the period of 14 days, but it is used as a mean reversion indicator mostly, meaning that people assume that the stock going above 70, RSI 70 is highly overbought, and stock going below RSI going below 30 is highly oversold. So if that it doesn't go with the basic fundamental principle of the RSI. Okay, so this is how the RSI is calculated. RSI is equal to 100 minus 100 divided by 1 plus R. So before we understand why there is a problem in 14 period RSI and buying or selling the stock when the RSI goes above 70 and buying the stock when it goes below 30, because so we'll understand this first. How is it calculated? Then we'll build upon it. So in simple terms, RSI is average gains divided by average losses. Now, average here is not what we usually consider to be average gains. It's the magnitude of the stocks, gains, or the stocks which has closed up over the last 14 days. The average, it's the total divided by the 14 periods. And so let's take an example. So for example, a stock A has risen a total of 14% over the last 14 days. During the last 14 days, it has risen by 14%. And let's say it has also fallen by 7% over the last 14 days. So what should be the RSI? So if we plug in the values, here we'll see that the RSI comes to about 75. So what exactly it is telling us is that the stock has risen more than it has fallen, right? So RSI above 70 shows that the momentum of the stock is very strong. Okay, and what we know about RSI or momentum is that momentum tends to persist. I mean, once the stock starts to rise, it continues to rise for a period of time. Okay, so basically, so it shows the strength or moment of the stock as its original name suggests, and see, that's why RSI can be very useful in identifying strong stocks. Okay. Rather than selling of the stock when the RSI goes above 70, it could be used as a to identify strongest stocks that are there in the market. But let's not take my word for it. Let's find out whether RSI 14 works or not. Traditionally, if we go systematically, I mean, if we quantitatively just look at RSI, so what I've done is I've done a backtest on NSE 500 stocks between let's say for about 13 and a half years, and the rules are very simple. Buy the 10 most oversold stocks based on 14 period, 7 period, 4 period, or 2 period RSI, and the exit rules are simple when the RSI closes above 70. Okay, so these are just two simple rules. Okay, what is suggested by the traditional RSI, that when the stock is or the RSI is below 30, you buy. When the RSI closes above 70, you sell. So that's the two simple rule. Let's see the results. Here is an example of Dixon Technologies. This stock RSI 14 period RSI went below 30. We bought it and we sold it here when the RSI crossed above 70. Okay, so we made about 24.65% on that trade, and again we get to bought this stock at when again RSI went below 30, and we sold off when it went above 70. So we got about 27% gain there. So I think the system rules are clear. Now here is the back-tested results. RSI 14, when you buy stock below 30 and sell above 70, the CAGR comes to about just 3.76%. Okay, there are about 297 trades, and average gain loss is just 3.16%. So that's very disappointing for RSI, when you hold a stock for 105 days, the CAGR is just 3.76% and average profit loss is just 3%. But then nothing is lost here. See, when you reduce the periods, RSI periods lower, you see the return starts to improve. Okay, from 3% to 3% for RSI 14 to almost 14% to for RSI 2. Okay, so why is that? RSI जो 30 period 30 जो oversold level से when we sell off above 70, it has shown disappointing result. Okay. So that's what I mean, that the RSI doesn't have traditional. When you use RSI for buying stocks when they become oversold below RSI 30, doesn't seem to work as per the backtest. Okay, and when you reduce the look back periods from 14 period to let's say 2 period, the results start to improve. Okay. Now let's see how to use it correctly. Most of the times when what I do is when one thing doesn't work, we completely try and do the opposite, and if that works, we check the if that works or not. So let's completely invert the rules, and we'll use these rules and let's see what happens. Okay, buy the top 10 most overbought stocks whose 14 period, 7 period, 4 period or 2 period RSI is greater than 70, and exit when the RSI drops below 30. Okay, these are just the opposite of the rules we saw earlier. Okay, and let's check out the example first. This is the same stock, same chart, same duration. We bought the stock when the RSI went above 70. Okay, and we only sold it if it went below 30. Now the stock has returned about 50% in a period of in this period it has returned about 50%. We again bought the stock when the RSI went above 70, and we are still holding on. And this chart is a little older. It's of October. Right now the stock is at 20,000 level, and it has still not gone below RSI 30. So that shows that buying above 70, RSI above 70 has worked very well. Okay, instead of buying below, when the stock is oversold, when buying below RSI, when RSI is below 30. So this has worked very well. Let's see the test results. Okay. RSI 2 shows the negative returns, while the RSI 14 shatters all the notions that you shouldn't buy overbought stocks. RSI, when you buy a stock above RSI 14, it returns about 21.25% CAGR, total net profit of 12-30%, and average gain to average loss is about 23.46%. Okay, so as we can see that it has buying overbought stock has been a good strategy than buying oversold stocks based on the RSI 14. Okay, so here is the summary. Buying oversold stocks based on RSI 14 doesn't work. As most people use it that way, but the data shows something different. It's not the best way to trade. Why is that? Because the stocks are mean reverting in the short term while trending in medium to long term. If you can see here, the shorter period RSI, it shows negative returns. Why? Because the stocks are mean reverting over a period of short term, while they are trending over a medium to long term. Right? Same thing is seen here in the backtest results. You see, uh, mean reversion is the RSI 2 and 4, 4 and 2, the returns are far better. But when you hold it for a long period of time, the returns are bad. Okay. So the stocks are mean reverting in the short term while trending in medium to long term. Okay. The other thing is stocks can remain overbought for a long period of time. It's a simple fact that RSI can remain above 70 for a long period of time. So if you've sold off a stock just because the RSI 14 is above 70, then it's not the best. You might even miss the biggest of the movement of the stock. Okay. And more often than not, overbought stocks indicate the start of a new trend. Usually what happens is when the stock is in a downtrend, after the downtrend is over, it will consolidate for a period of time. So what happens is RSI will, easily get overbought and oversold. But whenever RSI gets very overbought, it could probably show us that it's a start of a new trend. I mean, it has broken out of consolidation, and it probably shows the start of a new trend. So, and RSI above 70 shows that the stock has risen more than it has fallen over the period of time. So it simply shows that the stock has a strong momentum which is likely to persist. Okay. So this is my favorite way to combine the lesson that we learned trading RSI, that buying overbought stocks doesn't mean that they will come down. I mean, they will trend. They will mean revert for a short period of time, but over a period of time, they will remain stronger. So, the best thing to achieve a very good returns is to combine both of them. Okay, so that's what I'd like to call a hybrid approach to investing, where you take advantage of the mean reversion as well as the momentum in characteristics of the RSI. Okay. So here are the rules, basic rules you can look to implement. Like buy the top 10 most overbought stocks according to RSI 14. You build a core, basically portfolio of the high momentum or strongest stocks, and allocate only 70 to 75%. For example, if you have, let's say, 10 lakh rupees as your capital, you only invest 7.5 lakh rupees into top 10 overbought stocks, and then remaining 25% you buy, you keep it for the mean reversion strategy. When RSI falls below 30, you buy the remaining 25% and exit when RSI goes up above 70. Okay, and you repeat the process. So what will happen is, here you are using both the approaches to your trading. What will happen is, when you buy pullbacks and sell off on strength, it will keep on decreasing your average costs of your momentum stock, as well as it will reduce the overall drawdown and smoothen the equity curve or portfolio growth, you can say. Okay. So let's take an example here. This is the same stock. For example, we built a position in this stock when its RSI went up above 70. Okay, so we just bought 75% of the allocated capital here, and then what we'll do is, we'll just keep the 25% in cash and wait for the stock's 2-period RSI to fall below 30. Okay, let's say here it falls below 30, you buy remaining 25% cash, and you sell off when the RSI gets above 70 again. So if you keep on doing this, what will happen is, you will enjoy the full trend, but you will also make money on this pullbacks. The stock pulls back, rises again, pulls back, rises again, pulls back, rises again. So the combining both momentum and mean reversion can give you extraordinary return profiles. Okay. These are some practical ways to improve the strategy. Okay, use it with some kind of a breakout. I have seen that RSI, longer period RSI works very well when combined with some kind of a breakouts like channel breakout, or you buy a 52-week high stocks or all time or Bollinger Band or whatever is the trending technique that you are using. You can use RSI to rank the stocks, to find out the strongest and stocks with the highest momentum. Next is you can use index filter to switch off the system during major bear markets. Okay, you can apply for some kind of a moving average, for example, a 10-month moving average or a 200-day period moving average on Nifty 500 or Nifty, whichever is your benchmark. And whenever the markets go below that average, you can kind of switch off the system and stay out of the markets unless they revert back to in trending mode. Okay. You might use any other exit criteria other than RSI. You can have multiple exit criteria. It's not that you have to use this. This is just to show what can be done. You can also use longer period RSI for momentum or rotational type of strategies, where you rank the stocks, on the basis of RSI. Higher the RSI, the stronger the stock. And we earlier saw that RSI, 2-period RSI works very well. You can change the parameters to 20/80 or 10/90 according to your liking or comfort. But the whole concept is such that you use both the RSI short term as well as long term to improve your risk adjusted returns. That's the whole concept of hybrid approach. Okay, here's the summary. RSI is very robust and versatile indicator. As we saw, it works as a overbought. It shows the momentum of the stocks as well as it shows the mean reversion also. So it's very versatile and robust. I have seen in my research that the longer period RSIs, I mean, let's say 14, 25, 30, 50 or like that, will work better for momentum or trend following kind of strategies. While the shorter term, less than 5, 10 or 5 RSI will work very well for mean reversion kind of thing. The other benefit of RSI, longer period RSI, is that it smoothes the momentum as compared to the traditional ROC. ROC is rate of change. Rate of change is simply the how much the stock has risen. Mostly it is used in momentum type of strategies where the stocks which have risen the most are considered for investment. But what happens is ROC is highly volatile. You will not know the quality of the momentum because a stock might have risen in just 1 month. If you are, let's say, using 10-month ROC as your filter to identify the stocks, strongest stocks, it could very well happen that the stock has risen only in the last month, but it will still show the ROC and the stock will pop up in your watch list. So it doesn't do differentiate between the quality of the momentum. It just shows the momentum. While RSI smoothes the momentum, and that's why it is a better option than the ROC. And when we saw that the shorter period RSIs work very well for swing trading on mean reversion kind of trading to identify stocks which are strong, trending stocks which go into pullback mode. And combining both the long-term as well as short-term RSI can create the magic which I call the hybrid approach. Okay. So this is the just to show you that this is how I use the strategies, basically momentum combined with mean reversion, and this has been the live performance over the last 8 months or so. Yeah. So this combination of the strategy, I mean, I'm not exactly using the parameters we discussed. It's just to show you that what can be done with the RSI, and RSI can be very effective in mean reversion and momentum. I also use RSI for my momentum strategies, longer period RSI, and the strategy has done very well over the last 8 months, and you can find out more about the strategies here. Thank you.
Yeah, Hardik, so excellent presentation. It was really smooth and flawless. I mean, you covered, I believe, every point. And what I liked most is you just picked one indicator and you defined rules for momentum, trend following, and mean reversion, what you call it as a hybrid approach. So it was really interesting and very insightful. So thanks a lot for the presentation. I have a few queries which,
Sure.
if you don't mind, I'd like to discuss.
Sure.
All right. First is, you said if you go back to that backtesting slide, the first backtesting slide.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here you are taking closing price for entry after qualifying for the parameter?
Yes. It's the closing price. So, for example, when the RSI 14 is less than 30 at the time of closing, you buy the stock.
Okay. Right. And which universe you have tested for this? On which universe?
This is NSE 500.
Yeah, NSE 500 you have done. And for what period, if you can share?
See, the backtest is from the end of 2016 to June 2020. So about 14 years.
From 2006, you mean?
Sorry?
From 2006.
2016. 2006. 31st 6 2006.
Okay.
See, what I wanted to do was to include all the major bear markets as well as bull markets that we've seen, so that the major market cycles are captured.
Okay. So Hardik, when it comes to backtesting, last 15 years, I would say, what is your take? I would like to know about this. India has not seen a kind of bear market, not a long-term bear market. What we have seen is a sharp fall, steep fall. I mean, maybe less than a year. I mean, we haven't seen a significant bear market as such. The results that we see are actually, I mean, there's a bullish trend. The undertone is very bullish, and that could be the reason why most of our higher parameters are showing good results in bullish strategies, and they are not working for the bearish strategies. I'll give you one example. See, I've done a similar thing on points and figure or Renko charts. I mean, more or less, it is also about price. And normally, when we backtest, we have to learn the principles. I mean, what is there behind it, right? So in
True.
that also, what happens is, if I increase the size of the box, or if I go to the higher parameters, bullish strategies perform well.
Hmm.
And if I reduce the parameter, then bearish strategies will perform well. But otherwise, the bearish strategies will not work on the higher time frame. I think primarily because we haven't really seen a bear market.
Okay.
So what do you think about that?
See, I think, Prashant, we have seen the major bear market. This backtest includes the major bear market
Okay.
of 2008-9. Okay.
Yeah, I understand, Hardik. I mean, of course, we don't have any choice. If we'll practice anything on the Indian markets, RSI or any other strategy, of course, we have the similar thing. But my point is, maybe if we'll test the same strategy in, let's say, Japanese market, Nikkei, over last 20 years, the parameters might, give you different results. I mean, of course, yeah. So that, so the question is, what if we see a different phase down the line?
Right.
What if we see kind of horizontal market or bear market down the line? In that case, what we have tested in parts will the parameter may change. I mean, they may not show us the same results. But I like one thing that what you did is you created a hybrid approach, which
Right.
definitely, yeah. And second thing is you tested this for I think buying at 30 and selling at 70, right? Buying below 30 and selling above 70. Have you done reverse? I mean, selling at 70 and buying at 30?
No, I have seen that. It's not included here, but what happens is short side. I haven't found any edge basically because the returns are highly volatile, and over a period of time the markets are they have a long-term uptrend only, right? So I haven't found any good shorting strategies. Yeah, if you reduce the parameters, could be that we have seen. See here, for example, if we buy above 70, what happens is this CAGR is minus. So you can simply reverse this, and let's say you sell above 70, you might be plus. I'm just conceptually telling the results could be different. But this is what.
Got your point. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens. I mean, but if you sell, so it's just like for example, if you are selling here at 70, right, and buying below 30, this is simply it's the same. I mean, more or less it's the same. I mean, this thing will change because what you are doing is you are selling off the stock here at whenever the RSI goes above 70.
Yeah. And I think that RSI 2, which you use for the mean reversion, basically a 2-period RSI would mean, I think you're buying it when it goes below 30.
Right.
So basically it means when the difference between two prices, your current bar and the previous bar, the closing price, is very significant. I mean, current fall is very sharp. That means you will get the buying, I mean, your buying the parameter will get triggered, right?
True.
Yeah. So what you are basically doing is you are buying when there is a sharp decline or correction.
True.
Yeah.
Very
so
true.
have you tried adding some long-term parameter, for example, some any parameter that gives tells you that the stock is in long-term uptrend and you're buying on the correction kind of pullback strategy? Have you tested something like that?
Yeah. I see these. I have these strategies, which has what do you call a trend filter? For example, a stock. The simplest one is the 100-day or 200-day moving average.
Yeah.
The stock is above that, you simply know that the average, I mean the trend is up. I mean there could be whipsaws, but then you can very well assume that the stock is bullish, right? So
Right.
if the stock is bullish, if the moving so the close is above 200 moving average, and when RSI two period RSI falls below, let's say 30, 20, 10, whatever the comfort area for you, it's a good place to buy the stock for a short term bounce. Let's say 3 to 5 days kind of a bounce.
Understood. So it is like your long-term chart is bullish and you're buying on the short-term
Exactly,
correction of the
exactly.
pullback.
Right. So what I showed in the hybrid approach is like when you have established a portfolio of let's say stocks based on or high momentum stocks, uh, which shows that the stocks are in uptrend, right? And you are buying those stocks whenever they pull back.
Correct, correct. Makes sense. So if you can just go to your strategy slide.
Hmm. Which one? This one?
Uh,
Sorry, hybrid one.
yeah, hybrid strategy.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, so here you're saying that buying the top 10 most overbought stock. Universe is same Nifty 500.
Yes. I mean, you see, it all depends upon your comfort. I mean, what you're looking at. For me, I filter. I have a couple of other filters to filter out stocks on the basis of low volatility and some fundamental factors, and then applied to momentum is applied over there. So for it will depend upon the investor comfort zone. If
Okay.
people are interested into trading small and mid cap stocks, then Nifty 500 makes sense. If you are kind of conservative investor, then the NSE 100 or Nifty 100 or 200 might make sense.
So of course there could be some other filter. So basically, if you have some kind of universe, let's say Nifty 500, then you figure out the stocks trading above RSI 70, top 10 stocks,
Right.
and then you may have some other filters like relative strength, maybe some other things. I think you talked about Bollinger Bands or any other thing.
Yes. Yes.
You also mentioned low volatility. Interesting because one other speaker also talked about that and showed us a strategy based on. So what he's doing is trying to. He has some criteria for fundamental filters, and then he is doing that on the index with the low volatility stocks. So,
Right.
but in your case, you are doing it for the stocks trading above RSI 70.
Hmm.
So, would you still like to look at the low volatility stocks trading above RSI 70?
Yes, yes. See, what I'd like to say is I exactly don't use RSI 14. I use longer period RSI.
Okay,
Okay, to rank the stocks. Once I have
okay,
filtered down the stocks, let's say a handful of, let's say 100 stocks out of NSE 500, which meets all the fundamental criteria and low volatility criteria, and then I apply a longer period RSI to rank. And there are some other filters also to rank the stocks. So that what happens is you have a couple of factors combined in your favor. You have quality, you have fundamentals with you, and you have low volatility, and you are also applying momentum. And
nice.
then the top 10 or 20 stocks, depending on the capital, is allocated, and then they are reviewed every month. For example, every month we review it, and the strongest stocks are held, weaker stocks are dropped. So this is kind of a rotational approach that I
Yes,
trade.
yes. So you talked about ranking the stock. Will you say
Hmm.
that higher the RSI, better it is?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Why?
So,
There is a if people have read the book Quantitative Momentum by Wesley Gray and Jack Vogel. What they
okay,
have found in their research is that the quality of momentum also matters. It's just not the momentum. It's not just the price rise that matters. It's the quality of the price rise that matters also. For example, let's take two stocks. Let's say Infosys and TCS for our example
Hmm.
sake. Now, Infosys over the last 10 months has risen, let's say, by 100%. Okay. And TCS also has risen by, let's say, 100%. Okay. Now, both stocks are showing the same momentum. If you look at the generic way of looking at the momentum, you'll see that both stocks are showing strong momentum. But what if we look at in detail and we find out that TCS has only risen in last 2 months? The majority of gain has come into last 2 months, while Infosys has gradually risen over a period of time. So what they have found is that Infosys is a better option to invest than TCS as far as the momentum is concerned, because the quality of momentum in Infosys is better than the quality of momentum in TCS.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So there, the generic ROC, most momentum guys use ROC as parameter to find out the stocks which have risen the most. But I say that the RSI, the longer period RSI, makes more sense because it smooths the prices, and it averages the magnitudes of the gain as well as losses. So it's a smoothen indicator basically. So it shows the better. I have found in my testing that compared to ROC, RSI has uh, far better results.
Nice. So, a technical question here, Hardik.
Hmm.
See, my take would be RSI is a tool that you have used, but your principles of the strategy that you have designed are very
Hmm.
interesting. I mean, I think one can do it with any tool. Have you tested other indicators along with RSI? I mean, just for the sake of curiosity.
Yes, I have tasted various uh, indicators with RSI, for momentum, not just the RSI, but I have tasted on ROC also, RSI also, moving average, a ratio between closing price to its moving average also, all the other kind of these are the major basically types of uh, strategies to identify momentum. So I have
Yes.
tested them all, and if you compare it with RSI, longer period RSI, it
You
shows
think
better
RSI is
results.
better?
Yes,
And see, RSI uses averaging filter that builders average, in the
right,
calculation, which is,
right.
of course, it results in it smoothes the trend, but at the same time, there is also a lag which is introduced in it.
Yes, yeah. See, Prashant, here the simple thinking is that the more I always look for uh, broader performance as well as uh, you know I, I- specifics are not that important to me. I have seen. I mean, you know, which indicator I should be able to view it as broadly as possible. I mean, broadly, if it is making money, then it's a good strategy to have, because you will not
of course, yeah,
yeah, you will never find
yeah,
the one which works perfectly all the time. You
true,
know
true,
better.
true, true,
So
true,
I just look at the broader picture.
yeah, definitely. So I think, yeah, the last question is the strategy that we talked about. Is it applicable on lower time frame as well? If someone wants to trade it, let's say on intraday, on futures, have you tested it and will you recommend?
I haven't tested it,
Okay,
but I think it should work, because
okay,
the basic premise is what makes the strategy strong. I mean, the basic premise is you just finding out the stocks which are in momentum. That's it. Uh, so it should probably work on lower time frames also. But in my experience, in fact, I have only gone through all of that, and I can say that longer the time horizon, the better the result. Because what happens is in shorter term trading, I mean, people can do it, but what happens is you have a chance to make mistakes. The probability of making mistakes is much higher while trading shorter term, because you have to make a lot of decisions. While longer term trading, may you just have your set of criteria ready, and you just make 1 or 2 decisions every month.
Correct. Right.
So that's what I feel. I mean, that's what I have seen. There could be very good short-term traders also. But,
Yes.
I have done, and I've burnt my fingers many times.
Yeah.
This
So
is
Hardik, what you do now? I mean, I think you have some website. You write blogs, and you have a product also.
Yes. See, my website's name is tradingwithdwire.com. Okay. So there I have written an ebook also explaining the complete strategy that actually I trade. Okay, everything is disclosed there. Rules and backtests and the logic behind the rules and everything. So that is there. As well as I manage the HNI clients portfolio also based on the same strategies. And I
Great.
update
Is
the
that
performance every week.
Great. Is that book available on your website?
Yes, it is available. And see, you can also check out where. See, here is the performance. Weekly performance is updated every week. Okay, and I also write, a daily trading plan, which simply is the market analysis for the day, as well as the stocks which are there according to my systems. Most potential stocks.
So apart from the strategy that we have discussed, do you run any other momentum strategy for short term or anything like that?
No, I don't run. This is the one that I have. I mean, the strategy. Basically, there are two types of strategies that are explained in my ebook. The one is the trend following. The other one is momentum rotational. Okay, trend following means that whenever the criteria are met, you just buy and hold the stocks unless the exits are triggered. While in in momentum, you kind of rotate every month. So those are the two types of strategies that are there. So one is plain absolute momentum, the other one is relative momentum.
Super. So it was excellent presentation, Hardik. I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy it. All right. People might have queries and they might want to approach you as well. Can you share your details or email ID where they can approach?
Sure. People can reach me at how to dwire. I've not written, but I think how to dwire at gmail.com. That's my email ID. You can definitely reach me there if you have any queries.
Okay. And we will also ask them to post their queries in our forum, and maybe you can answer and have a look at those queries and answer. Huh?
Right.
All right, Hardik, it was a great session, and thank you very much for your time and sharing your strategies and experience with us.
Prashant, this has been my pleasure to share whatever little knowledge I have accumulated over the years. So the pleasure is all mine. Thank you all, and it was a wonderful opportunity. So thank you, DECM.
Thank you, Hardik.